It's August 23rd, so I guess this would be VLOGust day 23, even though I missed a few days because I was on that cruise holiday. I got an idea from a fellow YouTuber, Nicole Rene. She did a entry, I think yesterday, about the 5 points that she has noticed in her marriage in the last 5 years. And I really enjoyed hearing that. It was a fantastic vlog. You need to go check her out. I will put her channel down below. So it kind of gave me the idea to do something similar today. I wanted to do it about parenting and about children. Now, as you know, I do have 5 kids and I get asked a lot. People see me out a lot and they count them, which is kind of annoying. And they're like, "Oh, are they all yours?" And I said, "Yes." And I don't know how you do it. Well, I wanted to share today some of the things that I think about or goes through my mind and I use to help me deal with my 5 children every day. And don't get me wrong, they are beautiful children. They are very good kids. And what I'm going to talk about today, I'm not trying to tell you how to parent. I'm not trying to give you tips. I'm just letting you know how I, as a mum with 5 young children, how I deal with them and how I try to keep positive and go about my day without losing my mind. Because, you know, let's be realistic. It can get really, really hectic, as a lot of big families out there know. So my kids can be frustrating, just like everybody else, and these things that I will talk to you today are about when you do get frustrated with your children, when you tell them to do something 50 million times and they just don't get it. And it's the same routine every day, with my boys especially, and it can really get to you. But since I lost my daughter, my second child, about 10 years ago, it kind of put things in perspective for me. And there are some things that I just like to remind myself about every day with my current children. So I remember to enjoy the moment with them. Okay, so number 1 is I have to remember to let some things go. I can't let everything they do get to me. I can't be on them about everything. Yes, their room is a mess. Yes, they leave stuff on the floor, and I usually get on them about it because I'm trying to teach them to be responsible little human beings. But some days I just have to let it go, because if I try to get on every single little thing they do, it's just going to drive me crazy and I'm going to be constantly frustrated with them, and that's just no fun for them or for me. So something I try to tell my husband as well, because he's not as good as me as letting things go, is just to let some things go. And the second point I wanted to make is kind of similar to that point, to letting things go, is to pick your battles. Basically, there are some things that I choose to get on them about. I choose to really hound them about doing certain chores, about speaking to me a certain way, about their behavior, about cleaning up. But I pick the battles that I think are the most important for that day, because I can't do every single thing that I want to talk to them about, because it would just be exhausting for me, and then it just feels like I'm picking on them, and I don't want them to feel like I'm picking on them. So that's what I normally do, is I pick my battles, because I know not everything is worth it. The third thing I like to remind myself is that they are only children. And I think this happens to a lot of parents. We put such high expectations on our kids to act a certain way. We forget that they're only kids. They're going to make mistakes, and we have to remind ourselves that we were like that. We were children one time, and that they aren't that bad, and that there are adults that are 10 times worse than our children. And I have dealt with that. If you're in the workplace, you've obviously dealt with adults that are like big kids, but worse than your own children. So when they do certain things and you're like, "Oh my gosh," and you're thinking, wait a second, but they're only 6 years old. What do I expect them to do at 6 years old? I can't have such high expectations for a 6-year-old. So that's something else that I like to remind myself every day. Although my poor 13-year-old always gets the brunt of it, because he is the oldest. He tends to, of course, he's like anybody who has a large family, their oldest child is always kind of like the experimental child. You expect a lot more from them. My poor 13-year-old tends to get it the most, but I do have to tell myself that he is only 13. You can't expect him to do everything. You keep telling myself that he is only a child, and I have to remember that. The fourth thing I like to tell myself, that it's okay to get angry and it's okay to yell, because let's be realistic. We all do it. We're not proud of it. I usually, after I yell at my kids and I get all like monster mum on them, I then later on feel terrible because I yelled at them. But it's okay, because you have to let it out some way. Yelling at them every now and then isn't going to damage them for life, okay? They're kids. They're really resilient. They're more resilient than adults. And a lot of the time I'll go, if I feel like I've gone too far, I go to my kids, I give them a cuddle, I explain to them why I got upset. And most of the time they're more upset than I'm upset, because I'm crying, because they're crying. It's just one big cry fest. But it's okay to get angry, and it's okay to yell, because that's life. And don't feel guilty about it. I mean, you're going to feel guilty, but try not to feel guilty about it, because that's just, everybody does it and you're not alone. The last thing I remind myself every day is that it will get better. As they get older, certain behaviors that they're doing are going to change, and they're going to get easier to deal with. My 1.5-year-old, she is, as you've probably heard me say, she's a bit of a pain. But as she gets older, she's getting easier, because she's able to communicate with me more. She's able to do things on her own more. And the things that you have to deal with, they just change. It's never completely perfect, but those little frustrations that frustrate me at 1.5 are starting to die out, because she's getting a little older. They're going to be new frustrations that develop, but it's all part of the growth of having your child go through all those stages. So those are the 5 things that I find that I have to tell myself and I have to deal with every day having a large family, because I just can't obsess over certain things. Otherwise, it's just no fun for me and it's no fun for them. And I want to enjoy the moments with them and without being stressed out all the time. I always get asked, how do you do it? Well, that's how I do it, because I have to remind myself of these 5 points that I just outlined. Otherwise, I guess I would go crazy. I am kind of crazy to have 5 kids. I didn't plan it that way. Would I have more? Sure, if a miracle happened and I ended up with more children, I deal with it. I'm getting a little older. I'm getting a little tighter. My husband, you know, he's older than me even, so he's probably a little bit had it with having kids. We're probably not as patient as we used to be. But then again, because we've been through it all before, it's not kind of a huge deal. You kind of know how to handle it more. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little rundown, and if it helped you kind of think of some ways to approach your children and your frustrations, that's awesome. If it was just interesting to listen to, that's awesome too. Please don't take this like I'm trying to tell you how to parent. I would really appreciate it if only positive comments were left below. I know not everybody has the same way of raising kids, and I'm not trying to tell you how to do it, but if you have any negative comments or negative opinions, please don't put them in the comments, because nobody wants to read negative opinions. It's fine, you're allowed to have your opinion, but I don't really want to hear about the negative sides. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. See ya!